Kind of going back, I mean, you breezed through, and it's a great story, and it sounds like it all worked out for you. Has there been times where, like you kind of hit a dead end or some failures or just like, shit, this ain't working, we have to pivot?
I mean, my last business, I mean, I left the business that made a lot of money, relatively a lot of money. I feel like certainly makes a lot more money than my company does now, but I left it because it wasn't big enough, and it wasn't going to be big enough. It was, how I describe it now, it was a linear scaling business. The more time I put in and the more money we put in, the more it would grow, but it always grew at a linear angle. We're now in an exponential growth business, potentially. Certainly we have to hit the curve and actually have to get there, but the potential to have an exponentially growing business is something that was attractive to me and something we didn't have at the previous company.
And so the previous company, was it just the mechanics of the business made it linear?
Yeah, it wasn't
basic.
Yeah, it was. To be a little bit specific without getting too into the details, it was really based on individual games that had, games are kind of like movies, they get really popular and then they fizzle out.
Yeah.
So you have this growth curve and you have to basically capitalize at the peak of the growth curve or else you lose money. And you have to guess right on which game is going to grow, which one's going to hit the right curve, and make sure you have the right products and services to meet that market. So that obviously sucks for a lot of reasons, but the other thing that sucks is those games don't come out every 2 minutes, right? You sort of have to. The big ones are only every so often, and maybe you don't have the right product or service for that business, or it takes you too long to figure out, and you miss it. And so it wasn't something. It was something that would have been sustainable at the level that it was, but probably never much more than that. And I tried scaling it, and it scaled as much as it could. Yeah. So I think that was one where I had to walk away because it wasn't going to be a long-term successful business.
Did you sense that as failure, or did you say like, hey, it's as the world turns, I need to go do my next thing?
Yeah, I don't really look. I have an advisor that tells me not to look at things as failures, and it's part of this whole Silicon Valley mantra these days. But I really don't look at things as failures. He says look everything as a learning. You learn something. Yeah. You know something now about that business and about that market that most other people don't know, because most other people didn't do that.
Absolutely.
And so I look at most things in life that way, and I think it's a good example. Like, to me, that was a learning, and I know a lot about that market that no one else knows, or most people don't know, or most businesses don't know. That certainly helps me in my business today. But those are learnings, I think, not failures. And so I guess it's just a way to look at it.
No, it's absolutely true.